Hello and welcome to Europhoria, the podcast all about the great, glam and garish from Eurovision history. My name is Roland Bodnam, and as ever, I am joined by my wonderful co-host. She's got her lipstick on. Here she comes, da-da-dum. It's Isobel Chillman.
Hi.
Hi, Isobel. How you doing?
I'm alright. I'm actually not wearing any lipstick today.
Fuck. Well, I take it back.
Sorry, I ruined that.
She's not.
Normally I have my lipstick on. Here I come. Dum, dum, dum.
But there you go. You doing all right? You feeling okay?
I'm tired.
Oh, mate. Well, we'll get into that in a moment as to why you are tired, Isobel. Before we do, I'm going to ask you a simple question, the same question we ask every week. Would you like a lovely bottle of Hocha from Lebanon?
Lebanese wine.
Lebanese wine. Apparently they're quite good, their
Shut
wine.
up. Did you go back to your lady up the road?
I did go back to my lady up the road.
Hello.
She took me through her wines again, her array.
She showed you her Lebanon.
While I open this Lebanon and on.
Hey!
Do you want to tell the people why you're tired, what you've been up to, Isobel?
Because it was one of the greatest days of the year this weekend in England. It was London Pride.
Yay!
So I was a little bit run down last week anyway. Knew that I was just... I was eating all the vitamins and flu medication and everything that I could get my hands off because I could not be ill for Pride.
Don't be ill for Pride.
So managed to make myself well enough to get through Pride and have the best Pride ever, I would say.
Okay, that's good.
Hands down, best Pride ever.
Nice.
But now, obviously, not well plus Pride equals I'm exhausted.
Oh, mate.
And I'm losing. This is as loud as my voice can go.
Okay.
So your ears are safe this episode because I'm rather croaky.
She won't be screaming.
No,
Well,
and
we'll
I for some reason this illness has taken effect in that I just refuse to wear shoes now.
Oh, okay.
Just not in.
Maybe
not
that's
wearing
what
them in the
happened to
office.
Emily DeForest.
She was ill.
Sandy Shaw.
Maybe that's why.
They all got ill.
I'm with you, sisters. I feel it.
The Shoeless Sisters.
Yeah. It was bloody great, though.
Oh, good.
So worth it. It was
Yeah.
a beautiful weekend, beautiful sunshine, just beautiful people everywhere. We danced in the streets. We drank in Soho Square. We went out dancing in the evening. Oh, it was gorgeous.
I was sad to miss it, and I will make extra double efforts to make it to next year's one.
Bloody better do.
I know, it's terrible that I missed it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want a small glass? Can I tempt you with some Lebanon? It's from Lebanon.
I gotta have a go, and it might put me to sleep tonight.
Okay, well, I'll just
It'll help me get
put
to
you to
bed
bed.
because
Well-
I'm tired.
Well, here we go. In flashbacks to your weekend, let's have a little listen to the cork pop. You ready? Hey! I always worry I'm going to spill it, but it never does. Magic of wine. Here we go. Oh, it smells punchy.
Yeah. Punchy.
This one said it was for the adventurous, so I don't know.
Oh, that is a delicious smell.
It's got a good smell. It's got a good smell on it.
You know what we should start doing is tweeting pictures of the wine every week.
Oh, we should. That people can drink with us.
And also then one day maybe a wine shop will sponsor us.
Yeah, maybe. We will see.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Oh, delicious.
Well, there we go. That's the wine part of the podcast done and sorted. So let's move on. Now, Isobel, there is no news.
Okay, that's fair enough. We're
yeah,
quite far away from Eurovision.
We're far away. And it seems like the sort of tailing off from this last year's Eurovision, or this last Eurovision is sort of
And we
coming to
gave
an
all the
end.
big news last week.
We gave some big news. Yeah. Speaking of Mumba, let's do some Any Other Bid'ness. And we won't get to Mumba straight away.
Oh,
but
okay.
we had some people getting in contact. One of which was our friend from Brooklyn, Chance.
Chance the rapper.
Chance, the so-called rapper, who subject line of Chance's email says, "Many happy returns."
Aww.
We did return.
Yeah, makes sense.
Chance says, "Dear Isobel and Roland, thank God you're back."
Aww.
I'm a little behind, so I don't know if you'll get to reading this before episode 23. This is episode 24 now, so I don't think we did, but that's fine. But wanted to send you a message Chance says, anyway, I'm touched you've been thinking about me, Roland.
Oh,
I have been.
Thinks about you often.
Chance says, I've been thinking about you too.
Hello.
Mostly in the form of nightmares soundtracked with a loop of festival fun.
Excellent. Okay, good. Yeah, you've ruined everything for everyone, haven't you, Roland? Brilliant.
That is the official theme tune to most people's nightmares who listen to this podcast. Now, apologies, everyone.
I've just blocked it out. I mean, it took therapy to block it out, but I have.
We're never going back to that episode ever again. Then goes on to say, but Ooh La La was thankfully a delightful entry in the catalogue. So Chance hadn't heard the most recent one. I can't remember what it was called.
RSVP.
RSVP, Respondez s'il vous
Oh,
plaît.
you were quite far back, weren't you, Chance?
Isobel, your initial reaction to Jean-Claude was completely understandable.
Okay.
All the facts about his life before Roland got to the Eurovision part of the story made him sound like an absolute knob. Yeah.
Thank you so much, because I have genuinely felt a lot of guilt about that ever since that episode was recorded. There is, and if you are a probably there's not many people abroad who will listen to this, but there is a podcast in England which is John Robbins and Ellis James, and they talk about being in a shame well. So those things where you did something when you were 12 and then at age 35 you still think about it and want to curl up in a ball and die. I genuinely, that got added to my shame well. I felt so bad about it after. So thank you, Chance. That's made me feel a lot better. Thank you.
Thanks for giving me something fun to look forward to in the middle of the week when things are in a lull. Keep up the good work and keep supplying us with those delicious sounding glugs. Chance from Brooklyn.
Well, we just did. And I called it delicious numerous times. Me and you are on the same wavelength, Chance.
So clearly, Chance hadn't quite listened to last week's episode. And then sent us a second email.
Oh, good.
with the subject line, Samantha Mumba, acting superstar. And Chance's tone changes quite a bit between those two emails.
Oh, we've got a sassy pants.
Here we go. I cannot stand aside and allow this... I cannot stand aside and allow this petty Mumba shade suggesting she's only ever been in the time machine and nothing else. I will have you know she's been in at least as many movies as I have fingers on one hand.
Wow.
One in particular comes to mind. A few years after The Time Machine, she starred in the greatest Irish horror comedy ever made. Maybe the only Irish horror comedy ever made, called Boy Eats Girl. It's about young love, zombies, and Samantha Mumba running over a shitload of the latter with a wheat thresher. Do check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Yes, please.
Unless you continue drinking warm rosé. Chance from Brooklyn. P.S. #Mumba for ESC 2018.
Yes. I mean, Chance, I love your passion. I will always support anyone that is that passionate about a late 90s, early 90s pop star in whatever context that may be. So I will watch that film. I've actually just bought a projector.
No way!
So I can have a little home movie set up.
Ooh, fun.
So maybe we can watch it. We can have a zombie night at mine.
We could have a Samantha Mumba night.
Samantha Mumba zombie night.
That sounds perfect. We have another email and another email from the continent of North America. One email, and this is a new emailer. So hello, new emailer.
Who is it?
It begins, Dear Roland and Isobel, especially to the delightful Roland. Yes, I got it.
Okay. I'm gonna warn you right now, whoever this listener may be. You've had one chance, okay? You've had that one. That's all you're having. You do that again.
Okay, I think
your emails are going into a filter into the junk. All right?
I think you're like the main bulk of this email.
No, I don't like anything that takes the attention away from me, actually. Thank you.
So it says, it begins with, hi from North America. Good, right? Good. In the Semi-Final 2 podcast, long time ago now, you guys asked for phrases in different languages that do not translate well to English.
Yes, please.
I have a few in French.
Oh, great.
One of my favourites is, I'm going to do my French accent now, Il pleut comme vache qui pisse.
Okay.
Which translates to, it's raining like a pissing cow.
Oh no.
I'm going to try and start using that in just regular conversation.
It was raining like a pissing cow earlier.
It was.
Horrid.
That's why I chose a red, warm us up a little bit.
Oh, that's nice.
Another is Occupez-toi de tes oignons, which literally translates as busy yourself with your onions.
That actually sounds like something they'd say in EastEnders.
It is, yeah. It's
what you doing, Peg? Oh, I'm just busying myself with my onions. Well, you go off and busy yourself with your onions then.
Well, that's kind of what it means, mind your own business.
Yeah,
so it makes sense. Yeah,
I
makes
quite
sense.
like that one. What's this person's name? You didn't said it.
Jonathan. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't.
From North America.
Yeah, from North America.
Okay.
Jonathan from North America. Jonathan then says, not sure if these are as good as William and Daisy at the festival, but they make me laugh. And that's what matters, right?
I know, I like them. Nothing is ever going to top William and Daisy at the festival, purely because it's not a phrase.
Yeah, maybe we should have asked for made-up phrases as well.
I mean, just send us any phrases.
Anyway, I'm really loving the podcast. It really helped me stay sane during my final exams. I wholeheartedly agree with you about Bulgaria this year. It was fucking dirge.
What's dirge?
Like rubbish, like shit.
I don't know that one.
Oh, yeah, dirge.
Is that for cool people?
Cool
kids say it. Dirge. I mean, it was dirge, mate.
It was dirge, yeah. Somehow it got second and everyone won't stop talking about how great it is. But we know the truth. It's under-fucking-whelming and we want Polly back.
Yes, I love you, John.
Also, to quote Isobel, Estonia was truly awful. I can't even remember what Estonia was at this point.
No, I don't remember it either, which shows how goddamn awful it was. Because I remember the really shit ones.
Yeah.
So it means it was bad enough to not... It's that worst kind of bad, because it hasn't stayed in my memory.
It's forgettable, and no one wants to be forgettable.
No.
Either be memorably good or memorably bad. So I thought you would like Jonathan by this point. However, and interestingly, we haven't really spoken about this much. Jonathan then says, might I suggest talking about Lordi someday for the Eurovision Storytime part of the podcast? They might be some of my favourite winners ever. From your fellow sweaty person, Jonathan.
Oh, okay. So I hated you at first, Jonathan, because you wanted to speak to Roland.
Yeah.
Then I loved you throughout the bulk of the email. Then I went off you again when you said that Lordi one of your favourite wins. And then you said you were sweaty, and proudly so.
Yeah.
And I love you again.
Yeah, I feel like we're part of a club.
Yeah, the little sweaty Eurovision club.
It's not a great smelling club, but you know.
But we love pop.
We love pop, and that's what counts.
Really camp.
Yeah,
so
that's okay. So that was a really thank you, Jonathan,
thanks,
from
Jonathan.
North America.
That's really nice.
That was very,
if anyone
very nice.
else, it's really good. It's always lovely to hear from newbies. Obviously, we love the Chances and the Reggies of this world.
Yeah.
But it's always great to hear from new people.
Yeah.
So if you do want to contact us, you can reach us. Our email address is europhoriapodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we're available on Twitter too, which is @EuphoriaCast. I've just realised I've never tweeted Reggie's picture of the cat.
Yeah.
I'll do it tomorrow. So
Okay.
before the podcast comes out, send us your cat pictures. I want to see cats.
Also, do leave a review for us on iTunes as well. It really does help. We had one from the lovely Steve. Steve is the one who always puts a blog post up whenever we post a new episode.
Fab.
And is always bigging us up. Steve said that this was his favourite podcast. He says, I love Eurovision and this is the best podcast ever.
Yay.
They talk about Eurovision, laugh, swear, drink wine, what's not to like.
Exactly.
Right. So yeah, thank you.
We're just great. All round great.
So thank you to Steve for writing that on iTunes.
Thank you to Steve for writing the truth.
It helps.
Someone needs to do it.
And it makes us feel good. So you know, why not do it? I'm going to do now in Any Other Business as well, because we have missed it from the last 2 weeks, and we normally say we're going to do it at the end, but we're not going to do it at the end. In the first episode of this season, Isobel and I announced that if you send in a song this season and it gets the highest rating of all the songs that get sent in this season, which may only be one, you will get a gift package sent from us that we will add to each week. And now for the last 2 weeks, we haven't said what we've been adding, but we have been adding. So my week 2 weeks ago, I added to it a wonderful book about the history of Eurovision. It's got each year. It explains in detail what's happened. It is slightly used, but I feel like that adds to the sort of the mystique
It's been touched by Roland's hands.
Yeah, it has. I've gone through it feverishly when I've run out of stories to tell. And yeah, it's a good book. I can't remember the name of it, but
it's called like the Eurovision Annual or something.
Yeah. It goes right up to like 2014 or 2015. So it's pretty up to date.
It's pretty good.
We'll put a picture of that up. Isobel, last week, what was your gift?
My gift is, I forgot to bring it in, but I found what it is so you can see a picture of it.
Yeah.
It is, on DVD, Michelle McManus, The Life Plan Workout.
I didn't realise we were I didn't realise we were going off Eurovision.
Yeah, just anything we want, mate.
Things that we like.
Just things that we would like and other people would like. It doesn't have to be Eurovision based.
Perfect.
The first one's a picture of me in a cowboy hat.
I mean, it's Eurovision based. You have a Eurovision podcast.
Yeah, I suppose. Just about. Yeah, and don't forget, if you send one in, anyone who sends one in, we said at the time, send in a song. Same specifications as Roland does. This has to be a new song. It has to be something that you would enter into Eurovision. And it doesn't have to be a full thing. It can be a sketch like Roland's. It can be a minute and a half long. I think as long as it's got a chorus and a verse and a chorus, that's enough for us to judge. Yeah. We will judge it. You will get good points because anyone just bloody send one in. Yeah. But if you also tell us your favourite Eurovision entry of all time, me and Roland will draw it, colour it in, and send it to you.
It's like
you get that just for doing one.
It's like outsider art.
Exactly. It's great. And then whoever wins at the end of the year with the best song gets all these gifts. And if no one sends one in,
I get them. I get the gifts. No, I don't know what happened.
Yeah. No, Roland gets them all.
No one wants
Roland, no, don't get Roland have them. He's selfish.
I'm too materialistic as it is.
He has an Alexa. You shouldn't let him have anything else.
Adding to the list of things I might win this week, I am adding a fluorescent green Bluetooth speaker so you can play all your Eurovision hits out loud. It's a proper one. It works. There's a cable with it and everything. Yeah,
I'm quite shocked about that.
It's a Bush one. Bush.
Oh, bloody hell, guys. I'm going to enter a song. It's all right, this.
It does work, yeah.
I'd love a little Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah, it's good. So,
look, not all of this is shit. We've got a Michelle McManus DVD.
That's good, that is.
Bloody great,
What's it called? The Life Plan.
The Life Plan workout.
Life Plan.
Yeah, unused by me. But, and then a little Bluetooth speaker. Lovely.
Yeah,
so we'll put photos of those ones up.
Yeah.
Just send in a fucking song, will you?
Someone, please.
Just someone.
Okay, let's move on. I was intending to get through that quite quickly because I've got an in-depth story, but that's fine. We're gonna blast straight through. So that was the Any Other Business. We've done the contact. We've done all of the things. Isabel, shall we move on to the Eurovision story?
Go for it, mate.
All right. I feel like it's been too long since I've done a political one.
Oh, so has it?
Here we go. This week, Isabel,
get comfy, guys.
Settle in.
We're going to go back to the 1600s.
Isabel, I'm going to attempt to explain to you the history of Armenian and Azerbaijani relations through Eurovision.
Oh.
So
I'm so tired.
It's quite exciting.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It's
quite exciting. So I'm going to preface this with the fact that Armenia and Azerbaijan's relationship is a long and complicated one with a lot of running conflicts at its core. What I'm going to try and do is give you some context to these ongoing issues in order to understand where some of the tensions during Eurovision come from. I'm going to do my best to remain as impartial and just discuss facts.
Yeah.
If I do slip up or miss a bit of information or say something incorrectly, I'm already pre-apologising in case it offends anyone. Now I've got that preemptive apology done, we can begin. If you hadn't guessed, as I said, things are about to get pretty political. So here we go. Both of these countries, Azerbaijan and Armenia, have existed in many different forms under many different names for many centuries, even millennia. I'm going to start our story with not World War II, but World War I. We're going back even further.
That's actually a lot later in history than I thought you would start. I thought you were going to be like, so we're not going to start in World War II. We're going to go right back to when Jesus was born.
2000 BC. No, we're going World War I. Give you a little bit of historical knowledge. I'm going to take a look at the Middle Eastern front of World War I. It was largely a conflict there between the Ottoman Empire, with some assistance from German, Austrian and Hungarian troops, versus the British, French and Russian with help from the Armenian. The Ottoman Empire basically gained control of the state of Armenia, and what then occurred was a horrific and awful slaughter of basically the able-bodied male population and deportation of women, children and the elderly and infirm on what were basically death marches
Oh my God.
into the Syrian desert.
I had no idea about that.
Yeah, at the time, the word genocide hadn't actually been coined then. And since then, right up until today, the words Armenian genocide are disputed across the world as a description for what happened. 29 countries across the world have officially recognized these events as a genocide, including Belgium, Canada, France, Germany, Greece, Italy, Lebanon, Sweden, Syria, and the Vatican, along with the European Parliament. Some of the countries yet to recognise the genocide: Turkey, given that they are basically the Ottoman Empire, Azerbaijan, and amongst others, England. Even worse, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland all independently recognised that there was a genocide in Armenia at that time. Just little old England refuses to acknowledge that there was a genocide there.
Why are we being twats?
It's a good question why we're being twats. The sort of given argument is that there's not enough evidence for it to be called a genocide, and there's like very kind of shitty ways round this where people will refer to it as the term that was used at the time, which was an Armenian word. And even Barack Obama used the Armenian way of describing it rather than describing it as a genocide.
What's the Armenian way?
I don't have it written down, but it was basically the words that were used at the time. And I kind of think that's a bit of a shitty way out of it, because if it's a genocide, it's a genocide, and that's the term we use now. It's a shitty argument, I would say, and I think it's time the vast majority of people. That's me being that's me being biased, but there you go.
Biased.
I'll take a stance there. Even in France, considering England refuses to acknowledge it, France has created a law punishing anyone denying the fact that it's a genocide with 5 years in prison.
Wow.
So our government would all spend 5 years in prison in France. Anyway, we need to move on. I've already gone on longer about that than I intended to. So on the 28th of May 1918, both Armenia and Azerbaijan both proclaimed their independence. After claiming independence, the countries of Armenia and Azerbaijan, of course, started laying claim to territory which they believed was either historically or ethically theirs. And as is typical in the way that these things happen, there was overlap with what Armenia thought was their own land and Azerbaijan thought was their own land. It never quite falls perfectly on a line, does it? So this triggered what we are calling the First Armenian and Azerbaijani War between 1918 and 1920, a series of brutal conflicts involving civilians in the disputed districts, leading to high civilian casualties. Basically, there were wars over this small strip of land in between the two countries. It left both countries in a very weakened position by 1920, at which point the Soviet army thought they would just come across both countries and claim both for their own.
Good old Soviets.
Good old Soviets, eh? This actually Soviet control of the countries held until 1988. Still under control of the Soviet state. The disputed area in between had basically been decided that it would be like an independent state. Armenia was unhappy with this agreement. They basically said that the region had no Armenian language textbooks in schools, nor Armenian language television broadcasting. Basically, they felt like it was basically Azerbaijan's under an independent name. So protests began, and these eventually turned violent. There were large-scale fights and skirmishes between citizens in the disputed regions, and the conflicts escalated over the coming years. Despite several attempts at peace talks, full military warfare took place between the years of 1988 and 1994. It was on the 12th of May that year when the two sides, with Russia acting as a mediator, agreed upon a ceasefire. So they had achieved a ceasefire by 1994. It was a ceasefire, but sort of with no real conclusion to the dispute. There was no, deciding over the territory. So the situation was extremely tense there still. Apologies for I rushed through all that, but that was giving context. And
it's fine.
Now we know. I wanted to give a little bit of context for us to understand what happens next.
Yeah.
So this takes us up to 2006. And the first year that either of these two countries decided to enter the Eurovision Song Contest.
Okay.
It was Armenia who decided to join first. Good for them for joining the party. However, their entry wasn't without controversy, as to be expected. Armenia's first ever entry into the song contest was a song called Without Your Love by a singer named Andre. Now, the official Eurovision website described Andrei's birthplace as being from the Republic of Nagorno-Karabakh, which was the name that Armenia called the disputed territory.
Okay.
Media outlets in Azerbaijan were pretty upset about this claim. They basically said that it was taking a stance on who was the rightful owner of this territory, and actually when Andrei was actually born in that territory in 1979, the land was agreed by both sides to be an independent state under an independent name. So by calling it the Armenian name for that territory, it's basically Eurovision taking the stance. So in recognition of Azerbaijan's complaints, Andrei's birthplace was stricken from the Eurovision website entirely. I think that was the EBU just saying, fuck it, we're not getting involved. He comes from nowhere now. He just exists. He's from.
Lovely.
He's just from.
Do you think that one day they'll do? Have we discussed this already?
Yeah.
If they did like a nice, like with the Olympics where they have the refugee team.
We would love that. We would love
we had a refugee Eurovision team of people that don't have a home anymore.
I think I would cry.
I think they'd win the first year immediately. No
well,
matter
you
what
would
happened.
hope so, yeah. I think I would just cry. I would just weep. So Armenia that year, their first year, got through the semi-final, and in the final got a pretty respectful 8th place.
Oh, good work.
To put that in context, that was the year that UK decided it'd be fun to enter Daz Sampson with perhaps the lowest point in UK Eurovision history, teenage life.
Boy,
yeah, so we'll just... There we go. We still haven't done an episode about Daz.
Don't you worry. Don't you worry about that.
Isabel's been compiling basically like a case.
A full dossier on him for the last decade.
So that was 2006. Azerbaijan decided it wanted to join in the fun in 2008.
Feeling left out, are we?
Yeah, no, I know. That made it the time that both Armenia and Azerbaijan competed head to head. After actually a relatively controversy-free contest for the two countries, Armenia came out on top, finishing 4th place, and Azerbaijan finished in 8th. So actually, well done both of them for finishing pretty strong, right?
Again, Armenia's second go. They knew how to get better.
Third go.
Third go, sorry.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Well, I meant to get my stats correct if you
terrible.
don't tell me stuff. And Azerbaijan.
First year,
same as Armenia.
Which is, that's weird.
Good work all.
Then we get to 2009, and this is where things start to get a little bit more complicated. So tensions were rising once more between the two countries after clashes on the borders. So the situation over there was all the more sensitive. A situation that you would of course hope that the EBU and the ESC would be aware of and would be very, very careful when creating the visual postcards for each country.
Oh.
You would hope that they would never do anything as careless as include a landmark from the disputed territory in one of the two countries' postcards, wouldn't you?
Don't let the marketing exec loose on this kind of stuff.
Jesus.
Come on.
That's a nice shot. We'll include that. But no, we'll include it. Don't argue with me. That is, of course, what happened. In the semi-final pre-roll postcard for Armenia, it featured a shot of a monument called We Are Our Mountains. Now, obviously, this monument was in the disputed territory. And due to it being in the disputed territory, the Azerbaijan officials were incensed and demanded that the shot of the monument be removed from the Armenian entry video. The EBU agreed to cut the shot from the broadcast for the live final, which both countries had gotten through to.
And you're the one that's allowed to stay, that has to stay impartial for this.
Okay.
I am not going to start a race war, but I am going to point some bits out. So far, it's just Azerbaijan getting their knickers in a twist.
Have a listen to this next bit.
Okay.
Because it's about to get petty.
Good. I love nothing more than a petty row.
So as I say, the EBU cut the shot from the live final, and both countries have got through to. Congratulations to both countries again. However, as I say, in one of the probably pettiest forms of protest I have ever seen, it came to the point in the night when the scores from each country is announced.
Mm-hmm.
When it was Armenia's turn to give the scores, it was shown that someone had basically stuck an image of the landmark that had been cut onto the back of the host's clipboard so that it was in full view of the TV audience. Not only that, but in the skyline behind the presenter was a shot of the square in the Armenian capital city, and on a big billboard on that square, this is like Darren Brown shit now, on a big billboard on that square was the very same image of that very same landmark in the disputed territory.
I love it.
You know when like a magician is like, what was your word? And you go like, it was...
Cauliflower.
And then they point in Leicester Square and it's on the board up in Leicester Square.
Have you got a picture of this?
Here's the image.
Oh my God, I love it. And behind her head as well. Yeah. Okay, we're going to tweet that image because, sorry Azerbaijan, but that's hilarious. That is hilarious.
It's petty. It's very, very, very petty.
It's funny.
But it's kind of fun. It is kind of funny. Despite the controversy there, and I've used that word a lot, and I'm going to keep using it, 1,065 Armenians ended up voting for the Azerbaijani entry that year, which was enough to give it 1 whole point in the end scores from Armenia.
You know what I've just realised about you doing this story?
What? What have I done?
You've stolen a future story from me.
Oh no!
Yeah, we'll see where this goes. I might still be able to do it.
I think I might have done.
Stolen it. Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, fuck.
Sorry. So the Azerbaijanis, however, weren't feeling so generous, and only 43 Azerbaijanis felt that Armenia's song was worthy of a vote. This might be about to be where we cross over stories, which is the first time it's happened. So I feel like, it was destined to happen. So that year was over and the two countries could put the silly infighting behind them, right?
Yeah,
No.
Absolutely not.
As Isabel probably knows, following the contest, a number of Azerbaijanis who had voted for Armenia were summoned by the Ministry of National Security in Baku and were interrogated, calling into question their patriotism. Is this...
This is where, this is what I was going to be going into.
Shit.
Yeah, they were threatened with people who literally they had their phone numbers tracked by the government to see that they had text or called in to vote for Armenia, and if they had, they got dragged into by the government and were interrogated. They were threatened with arrest. They were threatened with public humiliation. I've got
quotes. So one fan who did vote for Armenia said they said it was a matter of national security. They were trying to put psychological pressure on me, saying things like, you have no sense of ethnic pride, how come you voted for Armenia? He also said that the interrogators told him that they had the names and addresses of all 43 people who voted for Armenia. The Armenian Ministry of National Security said, we merely invited them to explain their votes.
It's disgusting. Yeah, this is where the crossover happened. So I've got a bit of info about this, like the next couple of years and stuff, but it was... Yeah, it was horrific. It's they were tracking. Can you imagine that, guys? Imagine you got called in as you know, living in a very open Western nation such as the United Kingdom. Yeah. If you one year voted for Alexander Rybak one year, and the next thing you know, you've got the police at your door a few days later, taking you in and questioning you about why you did that and who else, if anyone else did it, and threatening you for a choice in music. And there are people on, there's a short documentary about it, about Azerbaijan in Eurovision, and one of the guys they speak to then said he didn't even like the Armenian song. He just did it as a protest vote.
Oh, really?
Because he was just like, well, fuck it, doesn't even matter. And then got pulled up by the government.
Well, because I heard some almost contradicting that. Obviously, different people voted for different reasons. But the other reason why people voted for that was because it's from the same region, right? And it's the same music.
Yeah, they liked it.
Yeah, it's that diaspora, which is one of the... Is that the right way of pronouncing that? Diaspora, which is a word that I've only just started seeing to do with Eurovision, but literally I see it everywhere now. But which is the idea of people moving from place to place, but culture moving with them. And when you're in a country that is literally next door to another country, you're going to have cultures, even though you're effectively at war with them. You're going to have cultural touch points that are the same. Yeah, you have shared history.
You have shared traditions. Yeah. You have shared music and food and religion, and you can't completely divide yourselves in this way, because you do have shared cultural activities. So of course that your hated neighbour's music might be nice to you, actually, because it sounds quite a bit like your music, doesn't it?
So hearing these reports of interrogation, effectively, the executive supervisor of the Eurovision Song Contest at the time, Svante Stokselius, launched the mysterious Svante. Launched an inquiry into the events. The EBU director even got involved, who was actually higher up than the ESC executive supervisor, even got involved at this point, saying that the freedom to vote was one of the cornerstones of the contest, and that any breach of privacy regarding voting or interrogating individuals is totally unacceptable. I think you and I would stand by that statement there.
Hell fucking yeah. I would be disappointed in you, heavily disappointed in you, and maybe give you some side eye, some really stink eye if you voted for, say, Spain this year. But I fully believe in your right to do so. Yeah. Whoever you are, wherever you live in the world, you can vote for a shitty entry. You can vote for an entry of your arch nemesis. Yeah. Because that is what Eurovision should be. That is what free world is about.
I honestly kind of feel like the Eurovision Song Contest voting is kind of one of the examples of the best democracies out there, right?
Hell yeah.
So on the 17th of September that year, the EBU acknowledged allegations of the interrogation of voters and breaching of their privacy, despite the possibility of Azerbaijan potentially being banned from the contest for 3 years. The EBU decided to go with the much more lenient option of fining the delegation €2,700. 3-year ban is strong.
That's not good. Yeah, and that should have been taking place. That should anything like that takes place. That's why it's so. That's why I think quite rightfully, a lot of people weren't that upset that Russia didn't compete this year. Yeah. Because Russia has, there's a lot of places that have bad human rights. Russia's, they're really pretty fucked up. Yeah. So you don't enter. You know what? I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm totally down with that. Yeah. It's like when you go on a night out and like one of your mates is way drunker than everyone else and is being a bit of a dick. Yeah. And then they decide to go home earlier. You don't stop them.
No, you let
it happen. You just go, all right, go home. Because we're all going to have a nice night now. You're going to go home, that's fine. Yeah. Like, that's totally, that's what they want. That's what this is. And they should have, that's no message to send Azerbaijan, charge them a bit of money. Yeah. You cannot let them speak to the world once a year through this means. That's a message that you send to them.
Yeah. Well, they weren't banned for 3 years. Shame. And in 2011, Azerbaijan won the Eurovision Song Contest and were set to host the contest in 2012.
Armenia didn't enter the year after that.
Well, this is what we're going to talk about. In an attempt to extend out a, let's say, olive branch, Azerbaijan temporarily amended its visa policy to allow the Armenians to attend the event. It looked like it was going to be a peaceful coming together of nations. However, in February, just 3 months before Eurovision that year, fighting broke out on the border once more. Ugh. And an Armenian soldier was shot dead. It was later revealed that actually he was killed by friendly fire. Yeah. However, this didn't stop 22 Armenian musicians uniting to support a boycott of the Azerbaijan Eurovision Song Contest.
Fair enough.
They stated that they refused to be in a country where anti-Armenian sentiment had been raised to the levels of state policy. Fairly strong statement.
That's fair enough. And also, imagine being... It'd be very brave and maybe to a certain extent a bit stupid to go into a country like that, even if it's for Eurovision and you've got the EBU behind you saying, no, we've got you, don't worry. Actually, have you?
A country that had interrogated its own people for voting for Armenia. So on March 7th, Armenia officially withdrew from the contest, leading the EBU to state that it was truly disappointed with Armenia's withdrawal. Due, however, to its late withdrawal from the contest, Armenia was required to pay its entry fee plus a fine totaling half the value of its entry fees on top.
That's outrageous.
Yeah.
oh, we don't want to compete. Okay, so we're going to fine you. Right. You remember when that other country were interrogating their own people for voting for us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Might want to rethink that structure.
Yeah.
Svante.
I've made Isobel angry again.
Mate.
I've made Isobel angry.
You know what I'm like.
I know.
I'm
It's
very
fine.
left.
No, I feel
my parents.
No, I'm not blaming anyone. I feel bad for doing a story that doesn't bring joy to your heart. But there you go. I'm going to carry on.
Eurovision always brings joy to my heart.
Armenia returned to Eurovision the following year when it was held in Malmö in Sweden.
Oh, because who wants to miss a Swedish Eurovision?
Right? Everyone wants to be involved in that. In this contest, Armenia came in 18th, while Azerbaijan, 1 year after hosting, came a close second.
Oof.
I know. Armenia did better in 2014, coming 4th position, while Azerbaijan slipped right down the charts to 22nd. Then came 2015 and stepped forward with Armenia, the band Genealogy. Genealogy was a band consisting of 5 Armenian diaspora, as I mentioned earlier, and 1 Armenian singer representing the country's roots. So the diaspora were basically 5 Armenians who were living elsewhere, who had moved from Armenia and were living elsewhere in the globe. The Armenians actually have established communities all around the globe throughout history. It's quite a culture of sort of moving out of the country.
So many Armenians.
Right? But
like, so many Armenians.
Yeah.
I mean, the Kardashians, Armenian.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know them, but I know that they are Armenian anyway.
Yeah.
So my old equivalent at our last office, Alex, Armenian.
Yeah.
Lovely Simon, who we work with, Armenian. Yeah. I know a ton of Armenians.
It's interesting. Like, there is a culture in Armenia of like moving out, emigrating to other places in the world. It's a culture. So as a little
nation of explorers.
I know, right? So actually, that modern day movement of people, as we said, actually originates from the Armenian genocide that we were talking about earlier. So basically, it was people
because they had to go.
Effectively, refugees like we're seeing now. Back then, they were refugees. There's a culture of it before that, but it was effectively everyone going, well, fuck it, we've got to go.
Yeah.
So Genealogy, that group of Armenians, were singing a song called "Don't Deny," which is fairly on the nose. It was basically perceived by many as a call for, fair enough, a call for recognition of the Armenian genocide.
Yeah.
A very worthy cause and something worth writing a song about. But as we know, Eurovision does have a pretty strict apolitical songwriting policy.
Yeah.
And so, rightly or wrongly, calling for recognition of a genocide is, which numerous governments have yet to recognise, is effectively a political motivation for a song.
A lot of people feel like Jamala shouldn't have been allowed to compete for that same reason. Yeah. Because it's a very careful one. But because it's talking about the Crimean War, but their push for it was, she's just talking about a moment in history. Yeah. We're not having an opinion on it. We're just talking about
very borderline.
It's a story.
Actually, the music video of this song also, as if that sort of "Don't Deny" wasn't strong enough, the music video features a scene showing the singers posing in World War I outfits and then slowly disappearing from sight. The metaphor is kind of pretty heavy there.
Yeah, that's being pretty obvious.
Yeah. So, as to be expected, representatives from Azerbaijan, who, alongside Turkey, obviously deny the genocide occurred, like I said, raised complaints about the use of political themes and stated that they would act adequately to prevent the song contest from being sacrificed to the political ambitions of a country, which, according to Eurovision rules, is a fair argument to make. So Armenia did make amendments to the song, changing the title from "Don't Deny" to "Face the Shadow," which actually I think is a much better name for a song, whether or not you have to change the context of a song.
It's a much wankier name for a song.
It's the sort of song I would write.
Yeah.
So in the end, Genealogy came a fairly middling 16th place, while Azerbaijan, with a song called "Hour of the Wolf," again, another song title I would definitely use, reached 12th place. So not,
both of them did a bit wank.
Pretty middling that year. Which brings us right up to last year, 2016. This was a year when clashes on the borders raised their ugly heads once more. There was combat in which saw 350 troops and civilians on both sides lose their lives. Eventually, Azerbaijan called a unilateral ceasefire. And after all that, you'd think that people who would have grown tired of the political messages and the politics of the situation and would be looking forward to a nice apolitical Eurovision Song Contest. However, apparently Armenia couldn't resist one more jab. Armenian singer Iveta Mukuchian, sorry for the pronunciation, was seen during the first semi-final sporting the flag of the disputed territory of Nagorno-Karabakh. This once more raised the ire of the Azerbaijani media. The EBU released a statement basically condemning the brandishing of that flag, again basically saying Eurovision needs to be apolitical. Despite all of this like political bullshit, which I'm going to call it that, because as we said, Eurovision Song Contest is a contest about songs and songwriting. Since entering the contest, Azerbaijan has made the final every single year. Armenia has only failed to qualify once, and then there was the year where it boycotted the event. So both of these countries are pretty damn good at writing pop music. And if they only could put politics aside for 1 minute, I think people could really appreciate their songwriting ability. You don't seem convinced.
No, I mean, quite a lot of the time, both of them are very guilty of just putting in a very beautiful brunette lady with big lips and big boobies.
I think that's why I like them.
In a sexy dress. And quite often I will forget very quickly who's Armenia, who's Azerbaijan, because their acts are quite similar.
Middling.
They have a sexy lady.
But so I think that story for me is, again, it's not really, it's tough because, I mean, I know you, not necessarily took a side, but you definitely sort of, agreed with one more than the other. It's a tough story because there's not necessarily a winner and a loser, or there's not necessarily a goodie or a baddie. And I know both countries, I think, have their faults, and maybe because Azerbaijan has been more under the spotlight because it hosted 1 year and it's been, top,
and, But I mean, quite a lot of people feel that Azerbaijan exploited their use of Eurovision, their hosting of Eurovision that year, as propaganda, false propaganda, for putting them forward as a country that they were not, and represented themselves as a country that they were not. So there were, when you look at the government there, like the government in Azerbaijan it's a bit Trump-esque in terms of getting family members involved in things that they shouldn't be involved in. So the president's, I want to say president, I always forget whether somewhere has a president or a prime minister. So very sorry. Sometimes both.
The
but
leader?
I can't remember.
Should we say leader?
The Azerbaijan, I think it's maybe president. But the leader of Azerbaijan, his wife was elected to parliament. Okay. Do you want to guess what percentage of the vote she got?
Well, I'm gonna guess high, but let me think. So, like a good win would be. And
this was the woman that ended up being chairman for the Eurovision committee. Okay, as well. So fully involved in every part of this. Okay. Elected to parliament on what percent of the vote?
So like a strong, in the UK, a landslide would be like 70%.
Oh, blooming heck! And you'd be lucky to get that, wouldn't you?
No, that would be like the most dramatic landslide.
You would be lucky to get that.
Yeah.
94% of the vote.
Okay. That's not real.
No, that's not
real.
That's completely impossible.
But
it's mental. It's just not. It's not feasible. Yeah. Their son-in-law sang during the ad break at Eurovision as well. He's a singer. He sang there. They used it as a platform for their own family.
It is very Trump.
They used it to they used it for their own game. It's very Trump-esque. Letting Ivanka sit in at G20 meetings. It's very much that. They treated as with a lot of places, it's not Azerbaijan that does this, but when they had to build a new arena, so they built a 20,000 seat arena.
Yeah, I heard about
for Eurovision, and they bulldozed people's flats down and homes to get them out of the way. So they did some pretty horrific things to host Eurovision, and then hosted it with the eye of like, look at how great we are as a nation.
It makes it really interesting though, right? Because it's not like the Olympics, and it's not like even like the World Cup football. Like this isn't decided by a committee who goes, right, well, who should host this? And we see with World Cup that doesn't work anyway, but with Qatar, like how many, or whatever else. But this isn't decided by a committee. This is decided by whoever writes the best song. So it must be fucking tough for the EBU to go, right, this year it's being hosted in Azerbaijan. Whether or not they agree with Azerbaijan as a country or agree with their policy or agree with how they're going to, build a stadium, they have to go, well, they won. So it has to be hosted in Azerbaijan this year.
But what they can do is if someone does something wrong in relation to the Eurovision Song Contest, they can ban them for a while.
Yeah, 3 years.
Definitely.
I didn't realise that they had that power.
And they didn't do that. They had that option to do that with Azerbaijan, and that might have meant that Azerbaijan came back with a song that wasn't good enough, or they decided to, they threw their toys out the pram and never came back to Eurovision, or whatever it may be. That meant that they couldn't have hosted it that year and all that stuff wouldn't have happened.
It is fucking complicated, and that's sort of why I love Eurovision, right? Because it's a song contest, but then it's like this whole other thing.
There was a great article I read the other day about, I can't remember, if I find it I'll tweet it, about pop culture and how you should never apologise for liking pop culture. Like, you should never say, oh, it's a really good pop song. It's a good song. It's a damn good song. You don't have to put the word pop in to explain it, but the fact that it's different from classical music, or it's different from, something trendy and indie,
like it has
or whatever,
any less legitimacy.
It has no less legitimacy because it is pop culture or camp culture than any other type of culture in the world. And that rings so true for Eurovision, in that you should never ever have to apologise to anyone or explain your way out of enjoying something like Eurovision and enjoying the campness and the ridiculousness of it. Because not only is that no less legitimate than any other form of music, but also, as we've discussed on a week in, week out basis, it affects so many people in so many different ways, and there's so much meaning and so many stories that go in behind every Eurovision entry. That no one can take that away from you.
That's it. Like pop culture, or whatever, like that mainstream music reaches so many people that actually it does have an impact on the you can talk about, someone can talk about, I really like this DJ and it's a fucking white guy. I think there's a case for being made for like hip hop and things like that, and grime actually having an impact on modern culture, a pretty big impact.
Sure.
But like when you talk about like, it's really indie band, or this really indie obscure DJ or whatever, and it's just a white guy doing something, or a group like 4 white boys playing guitar.
How's that any
fuck that?
different?
Whereas when you have a pop singer singing a song about a genocide, or singing a song about it's like, how is that not legitimate?
In all honesty though, I've always used to be quite embarrassed when people said to me, what music do you like? To just say pop. And I still now, I hate when people ask that. If you meet someone for the first time, they go, what kind of music do you like? I always roll my eyes. So I just think, I'm not actually, in all honesty, I'm more interested in comedy than I am in music. So that's what I enjoy on a more regular basis.
They're asking you that with like some
with real meaning behind it. There's real weight behind that.
Yeah, like, because I'm really into this. Like, I'm into this. And it's like, actually, I really
can't stand it. Whereas actually, since doing this podcast, I've been a lot more confident about very proudly going, I listen to a lot of pop and Eurovision, mainly Eurovision-based pop.
European pop music.
I have a Eurovision podcast and I love it, and I can quite proudly say about it. And it's really good. It's because saying that to someone, you can quite quickly. It's one of those. It's a litmus test. So if someone says to me, what music are you into? And I go, pop music. I really love Eurovision. And they go, sorry, what?
You go, fuck
what?
off.
I go, you're a
bye.
twat.
See you later.
Bye, then I'm not interested in talking to you anymore. Goodbye, boring. As soon as there's judgment, I just think, well, you're done. That's fine then. And it works as a very good litmus test.
It's a very good litmus test. I think it absolutely is. That was a story.
That was a story.
It wasn't necessarily the lightest. It was long as well. I don't know how I'm going to have to edit that. It might be a long episode.
If it's an hour, it's an hour. Don't worry.
And we are going to move on. I feel like that was a decent transition to move away from war and stuff. And so we're going to move on.
War and stuff, innit?
War and that, innit? To the next bit of the podcast. And it's the bit of the podcast where I present a song on one, like down on knees to Isobel for her to judge and spit out back at me with her opinions. And I feel like last week was strong, right? Last week was
really strong. Oh, by the way, Matt Finnegan adored it.
Good.
I adored it.
Good.
We were talking about it on the way to Pride on Saturday.
I'm very happy
really into
that
it.
people adore it. So I'm gonna be happy with this week. It is a song.
You don't sound confident.
I'm not. No, I'm fine.
Oh, guys, get ready because this is gonna be a shit one.
The conceptually last week was fucking great. Like conceptually, it was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Not even just conceptually. The like.
No, yeah.
Fundamentals
But
of
I feel like the
song.
foundation of a song is in its concept and like waiting something we can all appreciate. This week, I've done a song about a sexy lady. It's called Vision in Black. Here we go.
She's down and on the attack. Oh, and she'll give the thrills that you like. When you get caught in her gaze, you become trapped there for days. She's a vision in black. Now you got the rhythm, but you're not in control. She'll take you by the hand and tell you nothing at all. You'll feel it straight inside as you get pushed up the wall. She moves in for the killing, you'll be ready to fall. Your heart is pumping fast as you reach for the door. That fear that you once knew you don't feel anymore. So give into the mood and you'll be screaming for sure. You've never felt the feeling that you're feeling before. She's a sexy lady, soon she'll drive you crazy. You'll soon be shouting baby as you give her control. There's no more time for maybe, no place for being lazy. She's a killer kind of lady and her eyes are ice cold. Heavy breathing, the mood is hot. Now's the time to show her all the moves you got. Friction, heat, and sweating drops. Your love is like a treasure that all time forgot. Hips in sync to the sound of the drum. Your bodies move together as you form into one. Feel the mood change as your time's almost done. You feel a new sensation and you feel overcome. Come. Now you got the rhythm, but you're not in control. She'll take you by the hand and tell you nothing at all. You'll feel it straight inside as you get pushed up the wall. She moves in for the killing, you'll be ready to fall. Your heart is pumping fast as you reach for the door. That fear that you once knew you don't feel anymore. So give into the mood and you'll be screaming for sure. You've never felt the feeling that you're feeling before. She's a sexy lady, soon she'll drive you crazy. You'll soon be shouting baby as you give her control. There's no more time for maybe, no place for being lazy. She's a killer kind of lady and her eyes are ice cold.
That was a song called, surprisingly, Vision in Black, because it was only referenced once, very shortly. Here's what happens, Isabel. If I struggle with a concept and if I struggle with lyrics, I overcompensate by putting in all the words that I can and all the like different sounds that I can and hoping that something sticks. Sometimes it doesn't. From your face, it's looking like this week's not going to be an 11 pointer.
That was, to be polite,
no, not
uncomfortable listening. Uncomfortable.
No, don't, because I feel like none of them have been uncomfortable so far. Like
that was painful.
I think
the lyrics,
yeah,
the noises.
Yeah, there's a lot of noises.
The fact you were repeatedly stumbling over your words because you were trying to rap. I mean, you rapped to start off with, that's bad.
It was late.
But then you did a lot of rapping, very fast. And
it got late last night. It got real late last night. I didn't have the weekend and it got late last night.
Wow.
This is why people need to send in a song.
This is a really good example of why you guys need to send in a song. Because sometimes Roland is golden.
The end.
Right? Last week, Respondez. Hey, s'il vous plaît. Great.
Gold.
That's a song for the ages.
Yeah.
This week,
song for the bin.
Fucking hell.
Song. It's not even.
No one wanted to hear that, did they? No one.
Sometimes the end of the podcast is like, oh, I'm so glad I stuck around for this bit because it's a good song. Sometimes I'm glad we did all our emails and like Twitter stuff at the start because
switching off. That's why we leave it to last, guys. play RSVP again and cheer me out, will you?
Let's just get it over with. We've gone long. Give me a score and let's be done with it. Let's put it in the bin. 1 point, ladies and gentlemen. Just the single
No one's
point.
going to have nightmares. It's not a 0. It's not a nil point like festival fuck. It's just shit.
Even Armenia gave Azerbaijan 1 point, and they've been at war for nearly 100 years.
Yeah, I'm being Armenia.
Yeah, Jesus.
We're going to be at war for the next 100 years after that song.
No, don't. Oh, God, it's not great. Anyway,
after that pile of poop, if you have a better song to send in, which one of you must do,
my God.
one of you must bloody do.
My
I'm just thinking that all of you are working on them so goddamn hard, you're just not prepared.
They're going to be
send them
amazing.
in yet. But you do send them in, they're going to be the best things I've ever heard.
We get a
in my
co-writer
life.
credit.
Ever. We always get co-writer credit.
Cool.
So you can send those into europhoriapodcast@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at europhoriacast. Send us your songs, send us your letters, send us any information about what we got wrong to do with that story. Send us your... You just love us generally. Send us pictures of your Eurovision cats. Send us... What else do they need to send us?
Leave a review on iTunes.
Leave a review on iTunes because we
5-star
bloody love
preferably.
those. 5-star every time, mate.
We're batting
All
100 so far. We're doing okay.
Because we're amazing.
Don't put 1 star now just because we said that, because that's really shit.
Don't be a dick. That'd be just mean, though.
All right. So I think that's everything. I think that's all the housekeeping done. Let's end the podcast the same way we end every single episode of this podcast this season with the question, Isobel.
Yeah.
Would you rather step in to represent the UK next year, or Jedward announce that they will represent Ireland for the next 5 years?
Oh, God. Okay. So I have a longer love for Steps and a longer appreciation of their music and their music as a whole, obviously. I would really very much passionately like them to be involved in Eurovision because their newest album was
great.
brilliant. But they didn't need Eurovision to be brilliant. They didn't do Eurovision and they have been great.
Yeah.
Whereas we could get a lot of long-term enjoyment.
Oh my God.
Out of Jedward doing it.
Jedward songs, both entries were fucking
phenomenal.
fantastic.
Listen to them all the time.
Can you imagine 5 more?
I very regularly say Jedward every year, all year, every year.
Yep.
Jedward.
There we go. We've got our answer. Jedward every single year. Let's hope we can start. Hashtag Jedward 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22. Here we go. Thank you for listening to the podcast, guys, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Goodbye.